focus on. No, we won't grant. Not grant. Yeah, not long. We don't not that kind of thing. How about that? Well, thank you. What? Never heard of it. Are you on the house? Yeah, well, the prosecutor. I heard they were having a meal afterwards. Now I found out. Well, now it's worth a drive. Well, I will live 2 blocks from here. Now I learned that I had a meal, but I want to contact. Yeah, you can't give us. I'd like to introduce you to my brother. He's my ugly brother. Mama's man here to cover his ugly face. I'm not believing it. Mama told me. You take the edge off of him? Do you think that I've got an inferiority? No. You what? He's managing you well. We make him believe that Mama asked me about you work. He wouldn't feel bad about it. Yes. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have changed. Yeah, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't blame you. So it's kind of under duress. Under protest. All right. I mean, I did all kinds of things with him as a kid to try to injure him, try to get rid of him, but it didn't work. Stabbed him through the finger with a drill. That's pretty good. Yeah, I can do that. It's great. I can't hear you. You're stabbing him with a drill. I'm stabbing him. You will do the finger. You will.
Call to order. Call to order. I'm Vice Chairman Frank Daniel. Let us all stand for the invitation. O wise and everlasting Father, our hope for years to come. Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening for this gathering. We thank you for the citizens coming out tonight. We just pray, Father, that you'll be in the midst of our decision making here tonight for the betterment of Saluda County. We pray and ask it all in Jesus the Christ. Amen. While we're standing, let's do the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I would like to entertain a motion for the approval of minutes for August the 12th, 13th, 19th, 20th, and 26th, 2019. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? District 2, how do you vote?
Yes.
District 3, how do you vote?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
And I, as Vice Chairman, vote yes. Next, we'll have the report from the County Councilman's, District 2.
Nothing to report at this time.
District 3?
Nothing to report at this time, thank you.
District 4?
If you notice, the chairman is not here. His wife is in surgery right now in Columbia. Please keep her in your prayers.
I, as the Vice Chairman, want to pass my, that you go with the chairman tonight and his family, do their family issues. Pray for the family. They need an uplifting at this time. Derek Jones. Right now, I'd like to recognize DJ Miller. Come on down. You know,
It's been a while.
I know.
What you talking about?
DJ, in grateful appreciation of the county council member, David J. DJ Miller, for his dedication service to the citizens of Saluda County and Saluda County Council. Date, January the 1st, 2017 through August the 29th, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Frank.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Right now, we get ready for the public hearing. I want to make a statement before we start. I would like to make the following statement. The public hearing are not a question and answer session. It is for the public to express their opinions for or against the ordinance, and for council to receive the information to take into consideration for our final decision or to make changes to the ordinance. Next, we'll have the public hearing on ordinance number 06-19, an ordinance to establish a uniform service charge for public safety in Saluda County. Now, we have we have 11 citizens that's coming before us. Now, you know, we do have a time limit. We all want to go home. So try to keep it as brief as possible. First, we'll have Mr. Ackerson to come up.
Well, you said I couldn't ask any questions, and I'm full of questions. I don't know what a uniform service charge means. I also don't know how much it's going to be. I also don't know where can I find a copy of this proposed ordinance so that I can read it in detail. And it seems to me that the council is really trying to solve a problem which they have in meeting the budget. And that whole thing is explained right here. Every one of you should have read this cover to cover. It's been out for 5-6 years now. And it really does say what the problem is. And I haven't seen anybody addressing this problem from not just this county, but the other small counties that are suffering the same way we are. But there's just not any way that we can continue to raise the fees and taxes that we as taxpayers in this county pay because of the fact that the state won't give us the money they're supposed to give us. And I also understand because the funds are fundable, that they don't have to, even though they're breaking the law when they don't give it to us. And the only way I can see that that's going to change is if we actually amend the Constitution of the state of South Carolina. We've got to take away the power that the legislature has now to not only make the laws, but enforce or not enforce them, and decide who gets what and how much of the money they take in. It's not a good situation, and it's only going to get worse. Now, I have a solution that y'all can do, and I hope somebody has at least brought it up, and it's very severe. I think that if the state is going to continue to operate the way they do, then we as a county need to take severe measures. And by severe, I mean 100 years and some ago, we formed Saluda County. Let's unform it. let's give it back to Lexington, Edgefield, Newberry, Aiken, and Greenwood County, because they have a lot more money to play with than we do. That's what I have to say about that right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. James. Next we have Ms. Ethel Atkins.
She's gonna pass.
She's gonna pass?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Ross Starnes?
I'll pass.
You pass? Josie Motley?
I'll pass.
You pass? David Shealy?
Well, it seems like y'all don't wanna answer none of our questions, and I thought this whole thing was about that. But, anyway, you got taxes that you throwing on top of taxes. When is it gonna stop? You start this, when you gonna stop it? If you get your budget back in order, is this gonna keep going, or are you gonna stop? The other thing that y'all ain't gonna answer is when it's on our, on the campers and stuff. You said vehicles, houses, where does that fall in? When we get our taxes, it goes up under a second home. You know, why don't we get some of that money back that the schools borrowed and ain't paying us back and put it towards some of this? But that's all we gotta say.
Thank you, Mr. Shealy. Next we'll have, Mr. James Melvin Holloway.
Undoubtedly, I must have put my name on the wrong one. I should go ahead and pass on this one because I want to speak on the other two.
All right, you wanna pass?
So I'll pass on this one.
Okay. Next we'll have Mr. David Clary.
Thank y'all for this opportunity to speak. But last 25 years of my mother's life, I watched her try to survive off the $285 a month Social Security check. And you stop and think how $50 is going to affect people that live like that. The other thing I'd like to ask is, I know it's not a question and answer session, but can you tell us what we actually get for our tax dollars? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Next we have Mr. Wallace Rogers.
No questions, right? Where did the 1% sales tax go to? That we're gonna build a new jail. The only other thing, I was looking down here at this thing and it says for the volunteer fire stations. Where I live out there, I'm in a no man's land. Outside of 5 miles of Ridge Spring, outside of 5 miles of Billings, outside of 5 miles of Saluda. I pay more in insurance because of that. Now, if I'm gonna have to pay $50 more, then I think that we should make sure that I have somehow or another between the fire departments have coverage at my house that's less than 5 miles. Or take that out of the state statutes from the commission. But I just don't really see if we had to build this jail, and I know that's a mandate from the state. If it's a mandate from the state, why come the state's not helping to pay for this instead of coming back on us? And then we're gonna put $50 on every home, on everybody that owns a piece of property. And my question is, what about the folks that own trailer parks? I know they might get $50, but they can pass that along to somebody. I can't pass that along to anybody. I don't have nobody that's renting from me that I can pass it to. And then you got all of the farming areas, and I'm not against farming, I love farming, but are those properties exempt? I mean, that's all I'm saying. And what Ms. Claire said about, you know, my mother, she's dead and gone, but there's no way possible that they can pay this $50 extra because they're not gonna be able to take it off at the 4% or whatever. But I think y'all, just think about that.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Next we'll have Nikki Mathis.
That's Milligan.
Milligan, yeah, Milligan. Milligan Mathis.
Matthews.
Matthews. County Council, City Council,
Alright, time out.
Town Council.
So I have for this council, really a statement, and this statement goes for all of these ordinances. Right, every metric that you can measure, Saluda County is at the bottom half of the state when it comes to poverty. Right, every metric you measure. So how come that this council thinks it's appropriate to add tax upon tax upon tax upon the residents of this county? When you look at the numbers and see the state that we're in, you're building 100% jail to seat 100 people when we never have over 40 in the jail at one time, never. But we're building a facility to bed 100. Well, what we have to do as a county, what y'all have to do as a board, first is to balance y'all budget, which hasn't been balanced in a number of years. Nobody in this room can live like that. So I don't know how y'all think y'all can operate like that and pass the buck on us. It's not even fair. So that goes for all three of these. What I would like to know, which I know y'all not gonna answer me today, is that what measures have we taken to cut back on some things? Because I see here, we have what we've done and what we have, you know, in full-time employees, the volunteer fire department, all those things are necessary. But what have we cut back to balance our budget, besides dipping in the fund and our savings and getting it out of there? When the last time have we said we're gonna balance this budget? So, our councilman, everybody here has a councilman, get with your particular one and let them give you the answer to that question.
Next we have Miss Cherry Mason. You bypass. Next we'll have Mr. Jeffrey Thomas. Is Mr. Jeffrey present? Mr. Jeffrey Thomas. That ends our public hearing on ordinance 6-19. The public hearing is closed. Next we'll move on. Next we have the public hearing on ordinance number 07-19, an ordinance to establish a uniform service charge for motorized vehicle users off the county roads of Saluda County, South Carolina. The public hearing is open, and the first person that we have is Mr. John Cochran.
My only thing is with these added fees, nobody has specified what department is getting how much money and what this money will be used exactly for in those departments. And these fees for these cars, I don't know if y'all realize it, there's a lot of people that rent in Saluda County who are running out-of-state tags. These people will not be involved in that fee. So explain, how is this fair? There's nothing fair about that. This fee is nothing more than a tax. You call it what you wish. It's a tax. And it will never cease once it goes into place. And that's all I say. I'm glad.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Next we have Mr. Martin Jewell. I pass. You pass. Next we have Ms. Josie Bartlett.
I just wanna say, I don't understand how you can call this a public meeting when you won't answer any questions. Most of the county and some of the people in this room, they don't know how much these fees are gonna be. They don't know, as people have said, where the money's going. Are you taking this money and giving it to somebody and taking money away from them to give it to somebody else? Nobody knows anything. Y'all are just, it's not a public meeting, it's just y'all step there and look at us and won't answer questions. It's not a public meeting.
Council, is there some reason why you can't turn the microphone on so we can all hear? I mean, it's almost discouraging us from this.
Mic is not working.
I know that microphone. They don't want to.
Talking to it, Josh, see if it's working. Check.
It's on. It's just not very loud.
Is there a volume before?
Next we have Ms. Ross Starr. Yes, sir.
I'm one of those that they are speaking about that's on a fixed income. How am I going to be able to afford all these fees? I got 3 homes. These fees are going to be on, but I don't rent my homes out. I inherited one from a family member. I'm going to have to pay these fees because somebody's not cutting the fat. I can sit here and tell you quite a few jobs that could be cut and put into other people's place. Other people take care of it. They can take over more responsibility. When you see people from the county sitting around not doing their job, then you understand. I got issues with a few, and Mr. Butler here is my county councilman, and I would like to meet with him as soon as possible. Thank you.
Now we'll have Mr. Jack Axon.
As Ronald Reagan said to Jimmy Carter, here we go again. Now, as far as this particular ordinance is concerned, the first thing I would say, again, I've not seen the ordinance, but we don't have many county roads. Almost every road in Saluda County is a state highway. I hope y'all realize that. So if you're only going to charge people that use the county roads, not many people are going to have to pay. And I don't know what else is going to come out of this, but you know, it's just, we all know the reason is that we don't take in enough money because of our county's size and population. We all know that we're not going to have it happen because we don't have a railroad, we don't have an interstate, and we have very little water and sewer infrastructure. So this county is dead in the water. That's it. It's not going to get any better. So the only way this situation is going to change if you change it at the State House. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Next we have Ms. Elsa Axon.
She'll pass.
She'll pass. Ms. Mary Jerry.
I'm on a fixed income, and if sooner or later, I'm still driving the 2002, sooner or later, y'all gonna be invested more into my car than I have. I can't afford to buy another car, and keep paying taxes like this, and paying house taxes too. How can we live like this on a fixed income? And when the last time we got a raise on our income? You get no raise, and you still pinching off what we got? What's gonna be left for us to live off?
Thank you, Mr. Next we'll have Mr. Willie Coverett.
I'll pass.
He'll pass. Next, we'll have Miss Queen Holman.
That's Quest.
Quest.
Ain't no Queen.
This is some fancy writing up here.
Frog. Anyway, I got a unique perspective. I've been in law enforcement for 20 years, traveling roadways all over this state. I have no doubt each and every one of you have the best interest in Saluda County in mind. So, Mr. Vice Chairman, Councilman, thank you for your time. My one question is, I know that law mandates that y'all can mandate county fees. My question is that the first thing we jump to? Raising taxes, or do we explore other options? Federal grants, state grants, any other options? Are they out there other than raising the taxes? I myself personally don't have a problem being able to pay them. A lot of these folks do. A lot of these folks, like my family that are older, have a problem paying them. So, just do we jump first to raising taxes, which doesn't sound like much, but to some people, a house and a car, $70 might be a week's worth of medication. So, I just ask you, take all this into consideration. Thank you for your time. Justin, thank you for returning my call. You're the only one.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Holman.
Next, we'll have Mr. Melvin Holloway.
Thank you, Council, for allowing me to speak. First of all, I want to let you know that I'm not attacking you. I'm attacking the issue. Just as the gentleman just said when he left, I thought of the same thing. Have kind of looked at any other options before starting all this. Also, the question, how many registered vehicles are there in the county? How many households are there in the county? I see where you have had an extensive study, but we the public haven't had none. I just got this information Saturday past. So I got some serious concern about this. Also, I see where this is the second reading. Am I correct about that? Why the public wasn't notified for a public hearing before the second reading? Why not from the first reading? So I'm saying to you that also there's a lot of overweighted vehicles out there using our roads that are tearing up a lot of these roads. You need to take that into consideration. So also you mentioned here that some people are going to be exempt, but you don't say who. We didn't know who. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Holloway. Next, we'll have Mr. Wallace Rogers.
I don't have a whole lot to say about this with vehicles, but when I came through this parking lot on the way here, there was 3 cars out here in this parking lot with North Carolina license plates. Now, I don't know who they are. I have no idea. But I'm trying to figure out how many vehicles are we going to tax at $20 a piece. I got an old 70 Impala that sits in my shed all day long. And I'm about to pay $20 more for it. I don't pay a lot of county tax on it. But I'm just saying, do we know how many vehicles are registered in South Carolina and registered in Saluda County? And how many more we should have looking at that? But, and then we build an industry over there on Duncan Road, and the heavy trucks have just demolished that road. I think that may be a state road. It's probably not a county road. But I'm telling you, that road is like a dirt road through there. And I don't think no thought was put into that process about that. Those folks are riding on a tar and gravel road. And a major industry is located there with big trucks in and out every day, every hour, every minute. And that road is just some hell. Look, there needs to be some thought put into that, but who's going to pay this tax? The folks that have been here all their lives, my daddy and my granddaddy, everybody that had cars, and we're going to pay this tax. But what about all the other folks that are moving in and not paying this tax? So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Next, we'll have Ms. Barbara McGriff.
I'm a pass.
Your pass. What about Mr. Benny? You'll pass. Next, we'll have Mr. Milliken Matthews again. You'll pass. Okay. This public hearing has come to a close. Next, we'll have a public hearing on ordinance number 8-19, providing for an installment plan of financial for certain capital projects and equipment, authorizing the insurance of not exceeding in the aggregate toward the county constitution bond debt limit in general obligation bond in one or more serious tax exempt or taxable to acquire undivided interest in such capital projects and equipment and other related matters. Right now, we're going to recognize Mr. Ray Jones to give us a brief overview of this ordinance. If you come forward.
Good evening, council and folks in attendance. I'm glad to spend just a minute. For those of you who have not met us, I'm an attorney in Columbia. We've been hired by the county to help put together options and look at opportunities to take care of the need for the new detention center. I'm here with my colleague Emily Luther, as well as Brent Robertson, who's with Steeple, who is the county's placement agent on the financing. So we've looked at a number of different options. We've been in dialogue now with the council for, probably almost 6 months. And have presented to you the installment purchase plan of finance, which is a form of financing that has been used around the state by other counties and municipalities. There are a couple of reasons that local governments look at using this kind of financing. The first thing is it's financing that's issued by a nonprofit corporation that's formed by the county. That's important because if the county issues debt on its own, there are two critical occurrences that will happen. First, if the county issues debt on its own, then immediately millage has to be put on tax bills to pay for that debt. And the second thing is that if the county issues debt, then it uses its 8% debt capacity. By utilizing a nonprofit corporation, the county council is able to moderate the millage impact, and it's also able to manage and preserve its own 8% debt limit in the event you have other needs throughout the county that you need to put money into. You don't have to use all of your capacity for a detention center. So the ordinance before council tonight is consistent with what's been discussed with the county attorney, the chair, and the county director. It puts in motion the approvals for this style of financing. It enables the county to move forward with this style of financing. We recognize that the county has also been working with an architectural firm now for these many months and is hoping to get something started from a construction standpoint early next year. And so we have set up a financing timeline accordingly to enable the county to have the funds it needs by the end of this year. And so we're here tonight seeking second reading and of course to have a public hearing on the ordinance, and be glad to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. We'll open this public hearing on ordinance number 707-19, and I'm sorry. We'll open the ordinance on 08-19, and the first person is Mr. Jack Axe.
Well, y'all just threw me a 100-mile-an-hour curveball. When this man comes in and starts talking about non-government organizations, I'll run like a thief. I mean, that is the worst thing y'all can get involved in. This is part of it's a very small part, but it involves the United Nations taking over the way we live, where we live, how we live. It's part of the Sustainable Environment Program. It is a big deal. If you're not familiar with it, you need to get with the American Policy Council and read up on it, because it is terrible. It will take away all of our rights and liberties if we let it start. This is the way it starts. It looks good, it sounds good. As far as I'm concerned, if the county, if the county needs to borrow money, they have a state law that lets them borrow all the money they need to borrow with county bonds. We're already paying county bonds for the Piedmont Tech building. Hopefully we won't be coming up with too much more. But any other way to borrow money, I would be very, very much against it. And I'd be happy to talk with y'all and show you some of these other things if you want to know about it. But this just scared me to death what this man said, and I got nothing against him. But I just don't want to be involved in any NGOs like nonprofits they're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Ms. Ackerson?
She don't pass.
She's gonna pass. This closes the public hearing on ordinance number 08-19. Next, we'll move on to public presentation. We're gonna recognize Mr. Theo Lane with the Duke Energy of South Carolina for the Duke Energy Grant Award for On Point EMS Network, 501c3, and Saluda County EMS.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman Daniel. I appreciate being here tonight. I hope that my comments are going to be a little less controversial than everything we've heard heretofore. Some of you that know me know that I've owned a home in Saluda County since 1984, and so I've had a relationship with this county since 1984. And no matter where I went, when I lived in Columbia, when I lived in Charlotte, when I lived in Greenville, now in Greenwood, lived in Woodruff, I've always kept my home in Saluda County. So Saluda County has always had a personal soft spot with me. But I tell you that to say that I guess the motivation really for this donation that we're going to make tonight on behalf of Duke Energy really stemmed from conversations I had way back with former Chairman Don Hancock. So thanks to Miss Gwen Shealy, who notified me just several months ago that there was a need in Saluda County within the EMS services. I think you all have all recently purchased a new UTV, but in purchasing that UTV, there was no what I call medical gurney associated with it. So Gwen contacted me and we talked about that we felt that was a significant need for the county, because I very well, being a country boy growing up on a tobacco farm in Marion County, I know very well that in rural counties, accidents happen in rural areas. And sometimes accidents happen in places where ambulance is not going to get to someone, and that certainly is the case in Saluda County. So, when Gwen and I talked about that, I went to the Duke Energy Foundation, because I'm very proud that I work for a company that not only believes in making investments in communities where we serve a whole lot of people, but we also believe in making investments in communities within South Carolina where maybe we don't serve so many people. I'll tell you, as your government community relations manager for Saluda County, I think I've got less than customers I can count on both hands in Saluda County. I think I got about eight customers. But regardless of that, we wanted to do this because we recognized that was a need in Saluda County that will serve all the people, and quite frankly, might serve somebody in their worst hour. So, thank you for letting us be here tonight, or letting me be here tonight. Mr. Starnes is here, I think, from EMS. And so what we're going to do now, if we can just take a quick picture, we want to present the check. Ms. Gwen actually has the real check that will be deposited in the On Point bank account tomorrow. So again, thank you, council, for allowing us to be here.
Thank you for what you do.
By the Charlie Company. Good. So we're giving $2,500 that will cover the majority of the cost of that gurney. Thank you so much.
We
want to thank Mr. Lane for his wonderful donation. Next, we'll recognize the U.S. Census Bureau, South Carolina Partnership Specialist, Mr. Mike McNeil, for the presentation on 2020 census and forming a complete count committee. Mr. McNeil.
Good evening, Council. How y'all doing tonight? I'm glad for this opportunity to be here, and I want to thank you all who come out tonight. I know you come out for other reasons, but this is a good opportunity for us in the Census Bureau to reach you and talk about a very important matter. The 2020 census is upon us. I know everyone thinks it's a far off away, it's 2020, we're in 2019, but the months are rolling really fast, and before you know it, it'll be here. The 2020 census official day is April 1st. Everyone knows that. The decennial census is where we go and count, or try to count, every person living in America. Okay, we want to count every person living. Count them once and in the right place. And this is where we need the Saluda County's help. In 2010, Saluda County did a great job of getting responses in for the census, to the point to where it helped the overall rating of South Carolina and helped South Carolina achieve one of its highest response rates in years. Okay, and we want to do that again, but then do it even better. The census, as you all know, this is where we take it once every 10 years, the decennial census, and this year it's going to be a little easier. It's going to be online. Okay, so you're going to be able to go online around mid-March. You'll receive an invitation to complete your census, and that will allow you to complete your census survey and get it done quickly and easy. It's about 8 to 10 questions and you'll be done. If you don't respond to that online, to that letter in the mail that you'll get, that invitation saying go online and complete your census, we'll send you another one. We'll keep doing that until about the 4th one, and that's when the knock at the door, the traditional way you have the person coming out knocking on the doors, will happen. We also will have a 1-800 number, a telephone number that you can call. That telephone number will have 12 different languages available for anyone that does not speak English, so you can complete your census. And for those who say, I don't like the internet, no problem. Call us, have us mail you out that form, and you can fill it out that way. We want to make certain that everyone completes that form. In addition to that, you need to understand that your information is confidential. It's safe. Okay, your census information is protected by law. We are not allowed to get that information. It's sealed and secured for 72 years by federal law. So you don't have to worry. The only information that we give out is statistical data. None of that information can be used against you in any way, shape, or form. Census is important. I know everyone in here is talking about issues and fees and everything tonight, but understand, the census count impacts over $675 billion that the federal government gives out every year to states, counties, and municipalities. So if we get our count up, that's more of that money that will trickle down to Saluda County and to those who fill out their census. Saluda County last year had 2010, I should say, had a 73% rate. We can do better. That's a great number, by the way. That's a really great number. But we can do better. And one of the ways to help us do better is a complete count committee. The complete count committee is where you get trusted voices within the community. These are volunteer committee, if you will, of people who trusted voices in the community to talk to and educate the people in the city and help and county and get them to complete their census in a timely manner. This is what we need your help with doing so that we increase our count. We're trying to get these counts up in South Carolina to 80% or better. We did 75% as a state in 2010. This year we're shooting for 80 or better. And we need everyone's help. And that is why we come to you today to say, please consider forming a complete count committee. The city of Saluda, I spoke with them and they said they'll be interested in joining in. Hopefully some of the other cities within the county will be interested, so that we can increase the response rate within Saluda County and get it up to a level that's higher than any other county in the state. All right? And with that being said, I'll take any questions that you all may have.
Mr. McNeil, do you have a card?
I don't have any cards on me right now, sir. Fortunately,
All right.
go
Get back
on
with us.
back order.
All right. We thank you for coming and
Thank you,
sharing
sir.
this information.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. Now we'll move on to old business. We're gonna entertain a motion for the third reading on ordinance number 05-19, an ordinance to review the contract for a fixed base operation, Saluda Sky, aviation, I get hung up on this word, LLC at the Saluda County Airport. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we discuss? I'll call for a vote. District 2, how do you vote?
Yes.
District 3, how do you vote?
Yes.
District 4, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I, as vice chairman, vote yes. Next, we'll entertain a motion for the second reading on ordinance 606-19, an ordinance to establish a uniform service charge for public safety in Saluda County, South Carolina. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Next, we'll entertain a motion for a second reading on ordinance number 07-19, an ordinance to establish a uniform service charge for motorized vehicle users off the county roads of Saluda County, South Carolina. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second? Motion dies for lack of a I will entertain a motion for second reading on ordinance number 808-19, providing for an installation plan of finance for certain capital projects and equipment, authorizing the insurer of not exceeding in the aggregate the county constitution bond debt limit in general obligation bond in one or more series. Tax exempts are taxable to acquire undivided interest in such capital projects and equipment and other related matters. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. I will call for a vote. District 2, how do you vote?
Yes.
District 3, how do you vote?
No.
District 4, how do you vote?
Yes.
And the vice chairman votes yes. The motion is passed. New business. Next, we have consideration of county and Saluda School District 1 millage for fiscal year 2019 through 2020. The county millage. I'll entertain a motion to approve the millage for Saluda County. 147.30 for county operations. 1 meal for law enforcement. A half a meal for public building maintenance. 3 meals for Piedmont Tech Corporation. 1 meal for economic development. 1 meal for fire board service, and 2 meals for Piedmont Tech bond, which is set by the auditor and treasurer in accordance with the state law, for a total of 155.8 meals. A meal in Saluda County is a little over $50,000, 1 meal. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. I'll call for a vote. District 2, how do you vote?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
And I, as Vice Chairman, votes yes. The motion passed. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the millage for Saluda School District 1. 151.10 meal for school operation, and with school bond to be set by the auditor and treasurer in accordance with the state law at 17.3 meals for general bond. We'll have a 4.40 meal for the general bond. We'll have a 6.8 meal for the general bond, and a 6.2 meals for general bond, for a total of 185.80 meal. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Do we know when some of these bonds will roll off? They just continue forever?
Yeah. They're gonna pay off, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly. I'll call for a vote. District 2, how do you vote?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
And I, as Vice Chairman, vote yes. Next, we'll recognize Emergency Management Director Josh Morton to present the adoption of new emergency operation plan.
Good evening, Mr. Vice Chairman. I'm excited to see so many people turned out to learn about emergency planning tonight. It's good. But the reason I stand before you tonight, over the last 20 years, this is what emergency operations plans have looked like for about the past 20 years. Our plan is currently about 500 pages, and as you can imagine, in the middle of a disaster, the last thing you need to be doing is trying to thumb through 500 pages worth of a plan. So over the past couple of years, we've worked with the state of South Carolina, with folks at FEMA, and a few other emergency managers across the country to develop a new planning model. And tonight I'm bringing before you our new emergency operations plan, which is 35 pages. It's a lot more realistic, a lot simpler. And as part of that, we're also in the process of developing some very specific guides for certain incidents. We got to briefly test out our hurricane operations guide last week. Luckily, it turned out to be nothing, but we did go through everything that we would go through if it was a storm heading straight for us. And I can tell you the plan was tested last week, and everything seemed to go well with it. So typically, we don't adopt the plan every year, but because we have made such drastic changes, we thought this would be a great opportunity to come before council and just make everyone aware that that we have developed a plan. So that's why we're here tonight. This time I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the new emergency operation plan as presented. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. I'll call for a vote. District 2, how do you vote?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
And I, as Vice Chairman, vote yes. The motion passes. Next, we'll recognize Emergency Management Director Josh Martin for the consideration to decommission the tornado siren system and to contract with OnSolve to provide mass notification service.
Thank you again, Mr. Vice Chairman. So, about 13 years ago or so, the county installed 9 tornado sirens throughout the county. Over the past several years, we have had a lot of issues with them. We've had trouble maintaining them, and they're very costly to maintain. About 2 years ago, we spent almost $50,000 making repairs to the system, and we are currently back in a situation where they're in need of repair again. So it is very costly. One of the things that we're charged to do is to be good stewards of taxpayer money. And I don't think I can honestly stand before you tonight and tell you that pouring a bunch of money into those sirens every couple of years is being a good steward of that money. Annual maintenance on them is close to $10,000, and that does not even include the batteries, chargers, or any other parts that would need to be purchased. That is just someone coming out and laying hands on them once a year. These sirens, as I mentioned, we only have 9 of them. They are designed to be outdoor warning devices. They're not designed to warn you if you were in your home. The maximum range for a tornado siren is 1 to 2 miles in the open plains of Kansas and South Carolina, where we have a lot of different terrain, a lot of woods. Our effective range is only a half mile to a mile. As I mentioned, these sirens have not been reliable for us, and not to mention they're only good for one hazard. You know, they're only good for one thing. What we are proposing to you tonight is to actually reallocate the $9,500 that's in our budget to perform the preventative maintenance on those sirens, to contract with a company called OnSolve, who are the providers of the Code Red mass notification system. What this system would allow us to do would be able to send out notifications via a variety of different methods. We can send them out via cell phone calls, text messages, emails, calls to landlines for those that don't have cell phones. They're in their landline could ring. It gives us a lot of different options. It also gives us the ability to actually let the citizens know what's going on. Right now, if a tornado siren goes off, basically that's saying go inside, turn on the news, and find out what's happening. With this, we can actually tell you there's a tornado warning in effect for this part of the county, take cover. If it's a hazmat incident, we can set it off and do the same thing. So we have a lot more abilities to do with this. If we have a missing person, or if the sheriff's office were to need to send out an alert to tell people to remain in their house and lock doors if they were chasing somebody, we can do that with this system. It gives us a lot more flexibility, and it's also cheaper. Instead of $9,500 a year, we're looking at $7,500 a year. So that is what we're proposing tonight is instead of continuing to pour money into a system that only alerts a small percentage of our citizens, we're asking to reallocate that for something that will provide notifications for all. That's what we're asking for. This time I'll take any questions.
So if the seniors don't have a cellular phone, it will come through on the landline?
Yes, it will come through on landline. There will be a registration for that. We will have it set up to where they will be able to call our office and register. We will be working with the news media as well as any other platform we can to get the word out, to get people. But even if they don't register, Code Red does have phone databases, and they can pull the phone numbers in even without registration.
Are there any tests involved? Testing of this system?
Yes, yes, it will be tested.
Periodically, how often?
It will be tested regularly. We will set that schedule. It will be at least quarterly, most likely, at a very minimum.
Now, you said you spent roughly $50,000 a couple of years ago on the sirens.
Yes.
Alright, how often does that reoccur? I mean, what happened in the past couple of years that 50,000 is no good?
As of right now, we do have a couple of sirens that are down. I'm gonna be honest with you, we have not had them come out to look at doing repairs on them yet. The reason being is because it costs us a couple $1,000s just to get them out here to do diagnostics, because it's American Signal, they come out of Minnesota. So it is very costly even just to get somebody to come out and do diagnostics on it. At this point in time, I really couldn't give you a number for the repair on them at the moment, but as I mentioned, it's one of those things that I couldn't stand before you in good conscience and tell you that from a fiscal standpoint, it makes sense to keep pouring money into them, especially given the reliability issues. Even when they're up and running, with some of our radio coverage issues, they're activated via the same VHF radio system that the fire service uses, and it's been the reliability issues that we've had all along.
How often do you test the sirens?
They are tested once a month. The communications test occurs every morning at 2 a.m. And then we do what's known as a low volume growl test on the first Thursday of every month at 10:30 a.m.
All right, and then another question. You said on solve, we're looking at $7,500 per year.
Yes.
All right, does that, I know like cell phones, you pay for minutes or whatever.
So what we get for the $7,500 a year is we get unlimited emergency use. So anytime it's emergency, it doesn't count against us. And then that also includes 20,000 general minutes, which would be used for testing and things like that. And it's billed in 8-second increments. So if we do a call and we hit 20,000 phones, it's not going to bill us an entire 20,000 minutes. It's going to bill us that times 8 seconds. So.
But it's unlimited.
The emergency calls are unlimited. The general use calls like testing and things like that, we have an allocation of 20,000 minutes to use in a year for that, which is not going to be right. So that would be well within what we would need.
I'll call for a motion. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? I'll call for a vote. District 2, how do you vote?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
And I, as Vice Chairman, votes yes. The motion passes. Next, I'd like to entertain a motion for staff to develop an RFP for the removal of the 9 current tornado sirens. We're going to defer this motion to a later date. Next, I'd like to recognize the Fire Service Coordinator, Josh Martin, for the ISO rating presentation.
Thank you again, Mr. Vice Chairman. This is just a presentation, I ain't requiring a vote. Last fall, the Fire Service came before County Council to request that the council request that our next ISO rating would be done as a countywide hog water rating. That survey was conducted in March of this year, and last week we did receive the results of that. ISO property protection classifications range from 1 to 10, 1 being the best and 10 being essentially no fire service. As a general rule, the better classification, the lower the insurance premiums. The difference between classes, between Class 1 and Class 6 is not very much. As a general rule, the difference between each class is going to be $50 to $100 a year between those classes, depending on the insurance company. However, the difference from the time that you get to a Class 7 going up to a Class 8 or a Class 9 is huge. In some cases, we have seen these properties double, triple, quadruple, even more
for some of these folks as the insurance companies have changed the way they're using these ratings. Over the last few years, we have seen significant spikes in homeowners insurance rates of individuals that live within 5 miles of our fire stations. And the reason that 5 miles is significant is that an ISO rating is valid only within 5 road miles of a fire station. That's how ISO does this. We have no control over that. The state has no control over that. That is controlled by ISO. However, what we were on previously was called a hydrated rating. And when you have a hydrated rating, you have, in order to qualify for the rating, you must be both within 5 road miles of a fire station and 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant. As you look around the county, fire hydrants, in some areas we have a lot, in some areas we don't have nearly as many. So what has happened is we've seen a spike in those people who live within the 5 miles, but they're not within 1,000 feet of the fire hydrant. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were getting multiple calls a day of people whose insurance, again, was doubling and tripling. As we worked with ISO, we identified that the most likely solution to this was to conduct our next rating as a countywide hauled water rating. Last week we received the results, and I'm proud to stand before you tonight and tell you that we have been assessed a property protection classification of Class 5. What this means is that every property within 5 road miles of a fire station will qualify for Class 5. The reason this is very significant, and some of our stations previously did have a Class 4. Again, that does go up a little bit. But when you look at the properties that are located within 5 road miles of a fire station in Saluda County, only 30% of them are within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant. That number came directly from ISO. So only 30% of the people that could have potentially qualified for those ratings will receive it. So this is huge. We expect for a lot of these folks that are classified, well, all of the folks that are classified as Class 9, we expect their insurance rates to start dropping. And anytime that we can put money back into people's pockets is a good day. So we're very excited about that. Again, this is something that will not benefit everyone. I wish it could. But unfortunately, you know, it for some there may be a minimum increase, but for the vast majority, we should see some huge drops in insurance ratings. This class will go into effect on December 1st of 2019. And that is sort of where we are now. As far as the areas where our deficiencies lie in the fire service, looking at the property protection classification summary report, as to be expected, the areas where we lose the most points are the number of fire stations, the fact that we don't have paid firefighters, and then there were a few other areas. You know, if we had a ladder truck, we'd obviously get some points for that, things like that. But overall, great effort by the fire service, and again, we're very proud to be able to announce this countywide 5. So, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. At this time, I'll entertain any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion for council to go into executive session to pursue to section 30-4-78 1 and 2 of the South Carolina Codes of Law 1976 as amended, to discuss personnel matters and to receive legal advice on designated infection control officer for Saluda County to return at the call of the vice chair. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. I call for a vote. District 2, how do you vote?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4? Yes. And I, as vice chairman, vote yes.